Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This video is going to be on Batman Beyond and why the opening to Batman Beyond Season 1 is frankly perfect and the best thing in the DCAU. You may have seen this video from this channel before. It's because I rebooted the channel because I was struggling with the algorithm and it basically threw me out and it just wasn't going well. So I felt the only way to get better at this was to reboot the channel and to remember to ask you very, very politely and very, very nicely to share, like, subscribe, do whatever you will, because if you do enjoy this content, the algorithm needs to know or it will hate me like it did the first time around. And I'm sorry for reposting these videos here, but I am actually really proud of this video series. And this was the passion project I started YouTube with, then I had a lot of problems with my channels. Like, one got blocked and hacked, and two had struggles with the algorithm. But I'm actually really proud of this channel, what I'm trying to build, and I'm actually really proud of this video series. And I do unfortunately have to put these videos, Batman Beyond videos, out singularly and separately, because when I put them together, as I wanted to do a full Batman Beyond Season 1 retrospective instead of uploading constant content on Batman Beyond like I had been doing, so it was at least a bit different for people, and I actually finished off the bits I hadn't covered for Season 1. The algorithm blocked it, and they said I was using too much copyrighted content in one video, which is bizarre and weird to me because it didn't block my other videos when done separately. There was no issues with them, but YouTube is weird, man. But, yeah, so I have to ask you very kindly to subscribe, share, like, do whatever you will, or the algorithm will hate me, and the same thing will happen with my channels as has been happening. So I hope you enjoyed this video on why the opening to Batman Beyond is perfect, and you will be seeing more videos on Batman Beyond very, very soon. I've hopefully broken the video series down into 5 distinct parts that the algorithm will like and accept. Hopefully, so it won't be too much content, but you will be seeing videos on Batman Beyond very soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for putting up with a long entry. Let's get into it.
Warning. The following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Never again.
In this video, I will be breaking down the opening scene of Batman Beyond. Now, if you don't know what Batman Beyond is, firstly, have you been hiding under a nerd-proof rock for several decades? And secondly, don't worry, I'm about to tell you. It was essentially pitched as teenage Batman, or at least that's how I would describe it, which, if you're like me, you're listening to that sentence of teenage Batman, and that phrase makes it feel like it's going to be god-awful, but it's actually not. Essentially, Bruce Wayne at the beginning of this series is roughly 65 years of age, still running around in a batsuit, but through the opening I'm about to break down, realizes that he can't do that anymore and needs to retire, so hands it off to a kid known as Terry McGinnis. But we're not here to talk about that fully today, not how they put Bruce into a mentor role, not how Terry differs from Bruce and how their relationship develops. That will all come later. For now, let's break down the opening 4 minutes at this point, which is, quite frankly, in my opinion, the best scene to come out of the DCAU animated continuity. In case you don't know what that continuity involves, briefly, it involves Superman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, and so on and so forth, with a few animated movies also added from DC's animated movie line down the road. That is beside the point of today's video, so now that I've rambled on for about 2 minutes and roughly 20 seconds, let's get into it. So this opening has so many great moments that I'm still going to have to jump around a bit to cover them. But the first thing that sticks out to me is probably that you open with kidnappers kidnapping a famous rich heiress for $5 million of ransom that has been paid. And you see it panning into what I believe is an airplane hangar, a private airplane hangar, and there's a news report essentially saying that Bruce Wayne has stopped a hostile takeover of his company from Derek Powers, who shows up later on in the series. that shows that at 65 years of age, he's not only still trying to be Batman, but Bruce is also battling the rigours of business and is not giving up in any respect of his old life, which I just found a really cool detail that they threw in. At this point, Batman is obviously showing up on the scene, but the first sign you see of him is through a panned-out shot of jet-propelled boots coming from a new black/red colour-schemed Batsuit, which is mainly all black with the Bat logo across the chest of red, which looks awesome. The Batsuit itself is just panned out and coming across onto the building with rocket boots essentially propelling it and wings that are presumably nanotech coming out of the arms, which is just awesome, and it just shows that the reason why Batman is able to still keep being Batman is that he's using a cybertech nanotech suit that allows him to do cool things, and jet flying boots are cool, that's unreservedly true, but what else can it do? Well, the next thing that stands out to me in this whole 4-minute scene is you see Batman obviously invading, attacking goons with guns, just pushing past, pummeling them pretty easily, but then you see him attack one that he just throws across the room in some form of fashion by essentially doing some spin wrestling type move and throwing him across the airplane hangar, bouncing him off the airplane's wing, and then still throwing him further across the airplane hangar in one fell swoop, so it's increasing his tensile strength tens, maybe hundreds of times, which is just insane and great. So it's basically Batman merged with Iron Man, if there wasn't already enough parallels between those two. So to sum up, the suit is cool. The next thing that stands out is that it doesn't only show that Bruce Wayne appears to be this unfallible god with unbeatable tech-like armor so that street thugs still can't beat him, because it does still show Bruce Wayne's age. It shows that Batman essentially has a heart condition or a health condition that causes him to struggle. Like, he goes over to free the woman, and he's struggling even then just to keep himself upright and walk, because exerting himself even that little bit has been too much, even with the help of the suit. And then another bad guy shows the history of Batman again, but also comes out of the woodwork by saying things like, ever since I was a kid, Batman's been making things hard for guys like me. So it shows that the villains here were planning for him to show up, or planning for the eventuality, and were just expecting to see him, which sort of is a really depressing thing, because it shows that Batman's entire crusade for roughly 30 years at this point within the DCI universe continuity hasn't worked with its intended purpose, and it hasn't just not scared off the maybe hyper-neurotic, psychologically damaged villains such as the Joker, but it hasn't scared off the normal villains. They still commit so much crime, and Gotham is still crime-ridden and rough, and essentially his plan hasn't really helped or worked, because they're just expecting to see him and prepping for that. Unfortunately, this guy only preps with a crowbar, and just hits him aside the head, but because of his health condition, it does knock Batman down. So this punk's kind of getting lucky. What is it with villains and crowbars, am I right? I mean, Red Hood vibes, anyone? It essentially also then shows Bruce Wayne's age, as I said before, because he's realizing that he's gonna go down if he doesn't do something quick. He's being repeatedly beaten with a crowbar, and so he does the one thing that he never does, and breaks his only rule, or the main rule he bangs on about anyway, and picks up a gun, and rightly so, the guy runs, because it's Batman with a frigging gun, but Jesus frigging Christ, Bruce, it's gone to hell in a handbasket. Batman with a gun, because even with all the tech, he just can't be what he was anymore. And as a kid even, it was so sad and heartbreaking to see the infallible godlike human being that was Bruce Wayne's Batman go out like this, like the final bit of this scene, which is essentially him hiding from the police after realizing the girl is safe, but also in turn realizing he can't do this anymore, he can't be this anymore, and having to stop, not with a bang, but with a whimper. And how does this scene go out? How does the big, great confrontation end? The big, great confrontation that started off with such a high point over the Batman suit ends purely and completely in Bruce giving up, or resigning to try and find a normal life because he can't do this anymore, by essentially getting back to the Batcave, and you have this beautiful music with this beautiful pan shot showing all the pack rat things he's collected from different villains, like the coin, Two-Face's coin, and so much more that I'm not going to break down because this video is already turning out extremely long for breaking down a 4-minute scene. But you see so much there, but also the lights going out, and Bruce finally and openly admits, never again. And then it flashes forward 20 years, where presumably you don't see, but Bruce has essentially gotten old, given up, stuck to his promise because he was so broken by using a gun, not even in a hurtful way, but he still used a coward's weapon, a clumsy weapon, the weapon that took his parents from him and made a little boy lose his world in Crime Alley. So he still can't get over that. Several years later when it flashes forward, and he just gave up because there was nothing more he could do. His health couldn't do it, and he had to use a gun, and that was unacceptable to him. And this is quite possibly, in my opinion, the best scene in all the DCEU. Like, good God, I don't think it's come out with anything stronger, and if this opening scene isn't enough to convince you that you should watch Batman Beyond, then nothing I say or nothing I break down ever will be. So if you haven't seen this, it's now really easy to get the Blu-ray in the UK from Amazon or any kind of retail store with a comic book-like section, which is most of them at this point for DVD stores. You can really easily pick this up on Blu-ray or DVD, and I highly recommend you do. The series is great. Okay, but I'm going to leave this video here, guys. If me breaking down this 4-minute scene and taking roughly about 10 minutes to do it wasn't enough to encourage you to watch this great show, then I honestly think nothing will be, because frankly I think this is the best 4 minutes and the best thing the DCAU combined has put across. So heartbreaking, so much mix of emotions, mix of excitement as a kid watching this, and this is my Batman series. I didn't see Batman the Animated Series as a kid, so this was my first introduction, really. And this series is phenomenal, and to prove that to you, if you need more proof, I'm going to be breaking down the series in videos on this channel very soon. So, if you did want to see that, it's coming. But anyway, that's all we have for this video, guys. That's my thoughts on the opening. That's the end of the video, guys. You can go now.